An equally big story in my view that is also deserving of equal prime time importance. It's another murder case, and it's coming from Karnataka, because the breaking news that we are getting in the case of the Kalburgi murder, the murder of an eminent writer and rationalist from Karnataka in Dharwad. The chief minister, who had initially proposed a CID probe, has now decided to hand over the case to the Central Bureau of Investigation in Karnataka. The move also means that the Dharwad cops have failed to make any headway in the murder which took place yesterday morning. Remember, the role of several radical Lingayat groups now and right-wing outfits are being suspected. The police are yet to make an arrest in the probe. The local Bajrang Dal and Vishwa Hindu Parishad, though, have denied any role in the attack. The breaking news, of course, is the role of radical Lingayat groups that we are getting in this case. Pratibha Raman is joining me live from Dharwad at the moment. Pratibha, case to be handed over to the CBI, but is the police in Karnataka completely clueless of a murder like this which takes place?
Well, at the outset, Rajdeep, one must know that the context of Kalburgi's life's works plays a very dominant role here, because on one hand, he did criticize many of the practices that form the basis of Hindutva, like idol worship, for instance. But on the other, he also ridiculed some of the orthodox practices that were followed by the Lingayat community, and he himself was a Lingayat who earned the wrath of many of the Lingayat radicals, because he believed to be a very progressive Lingayat in a sort of sense. But at this point in time, considering all of this, the needle of suspicions points to two particular groups. One is the right-wing groups, as we've been talking about. The other is the newly found needle, which is pointing to the Lingayat community, some of the conservative Lingayats who perhaps did not agree with his views. But the police is at this point in time completely clueless with no concrete leads, Rajdeep. Okay,
Pratibha, we'll come back to it. I just want to play the story. For those of you who would like to know exactly what has happened, why is this story, in the view of people like me, just as important as the story of Indrani Mukherjee? Because this is a story at the heart of which is freedom of speech and the rising intolerance in parts of the country. The tragic murder of Kalburgi. Take a look.
3 months back, Professor M.M. Kalburgi gave up his security cover. On Sunday, Dr. Kalburgi was shot dead at his doorstep by unidentified gunmen.
Yesterday at 8:40, it was right at this doorstep that two assailants walked in, rang the doorbell, and just when Dr. Kalburgi opened the door is when he was shot, one on the forehead and the other on his chest. It was right outside this particular gate. It was at this point that the bike was parked. In fact, what we do understand is that an unlicensed weapon was used for this murder.
For the fearless left ideologue and former Vice-Chancellor of the Hampi University, his messages to the society against idol worship and superstition were more important as a means of enlightening people.
My mother came thinking that the milkman has come. Then she saw somebody, so immediately she went inside. Okay, he'll come, he said, and she went inside. The moment she went inside, maybe after 10-15 seconds, hardly, the sound came. Initially, they thought maybe the mobile which is in it might have exploded. But by that time, they saw, blood was coming out. Immediately, they rushed to the hospital.
At Dharwad, hundreds of admirers of Dr. Kalburgi paid their last respects. A special team has been formed to investigate this in full swing, including the intelligence squad of Kolhapur.
We have commenced the investigation. We have formed a special squad. They are investigating into it. Till ballistic experts have come, we have seized the bullets there, and we are investigating it.
The gruesome incident has sparked protests by scholars and well-wishers in Bengaluru and Dharwad, demanding detailed probe by an independent body.
While the circumstances in this case suggest the involvement of rabid elements, the police still do not have any concrete clues except for the sketchy details provided by both the wife of Dr. Kalburgi as well as the eyewitnesses. Meanwhile, there are many scholars as well as rationalists who are enveloped in a cloud of fear. With camera person Madhu, Pratibha Raman, Dharwad, India Today.
And I'm joined at the moment by Gopal Husur. He has, of course, been one of the most distinguished Karnataka police officers. He joins me from Bangalore. Also joining me a short while ago was Shashi Deshpande, Literature Sahitya Academy Award winner, also from the state of Karnataka. I want to come to you, Shashi Deshpande, and ask the big question. Do you see Kalburgi's murder today as a threat to free speech? It's not just the murder of a scholar, it's the murder of free speech in this country, ma'am.
Absolutely. I mean, here was the man, who said things. He didn't just shoot off his mouth. He had reasons for saying what he did. He was a scholar. He had facts and he knew what he was saying. He was a rationalist and there was logic in his thinking. And they just wanted to stop him speaking. Obviously, that kind of things he was saying, they don't want to hear. I mean, there's no way that these kind of people are going to sort of talk to anybody. This is absolute threat to freedom of speech. It's like all the other killings which have been going on. I mean, Bangladesh and everywhere. It's a terrible thing that it's come to our country and to Karnataka and to Dharwad.
It's an interesting thing you raised also Bangladesh. We outrage when bloggers in Bangladesh, ma'am, are killed. It's happening now in our country. The murder of Narendra Dabolkar in Pune, Govindrao Pansare in Kolhapur, now Kalburgi. Do you see a pattern, ma'am, in which these murders are happening? Do you believe that there are some forces in this country today who are simply intolerant of the other point of view?
Yes, I think it's a kind of fundamentalists who do not want rational thinking, who do not want people who oppose superstition, who do not oppose fundamentalism. And I think when they realize that these people have a voice which is heard, then they attack them. I mean, there are many people who, do have that point of view, but here you find that these are the people who were making a difference. And because of that, I think they were killed. So I think it's become very important now for everyone to stand up and say the same things which they believe in.
Do you think, ma'am, that Kalburgi was killed because he was questioning the Lingayat orthodoxy? Is your suspicion that because he was questioning some of the cultural practices of the Lingayat orthodoxy, the mutts, and therefore today he was gunned down? Is that your suspicion therefore, ma'am?
Well, I really do not know very much about his work. Let me admit that. But I do know that, he has been speaking about the Lingayat religion, about the Baswana, and the kind of things he's saying is what any historical researcher would come up with. And I think we should welcome this kind of fresh information, fresh ideas. We should debate them, and instead of that, there's a kind of desire to squash them, to stop these people from talking. So I think questioning was also there, but he also was asking the questions for a reason. It wasn't just asking a question for the sake of being a nuisance or for creating controversies. There are people who sort of speak to create controversies and to come into the news. He was not that kind of a man. For him, it was a kind of an academic kind of a exercise that he wanted to know, these things.
Ma'am, as a writer, you are a Sahitya Academy Award winner. Professor Kalburgi was a Sahitya Academy winner. Is it difficult today for a writer to speak out and take on any form of extremism, particularly when the extremist seems to have a gun?
Well, it depends, I think it is difficult if you are thinking that when you're talking, you're taking on a group. You're not doing that. When you're talking, when you're writing, you're doing what your work asks you to do. And the taking on comes afterwards. And then, some people have to stand up for it. Some people give in. I remember he had made some statement many years ago, I don't remember now, but he had to take it back, and this was about Baswana. So sometimes I think you want to go on with your work. You will sort of subdue that, but when the thing matters to you, you got to say it. But here the man did not even say anything at this point of time. This was all kind of, concocted. I mean, Anand Murthy's statement that he supported, there are questions about Anand Murthy's statement itself. So people who are ignorant, people who are ill-informed, people who know nothing, they just want to threaten people, that's all. They want to show that we have the power.
Are writers, ma'am, the big question, are writers powerless? Do you believe you're powerless against someone who has a bullet today with him or her?
Writers are powerless not only against bullets, writers are powerless everywhere in this country. I really do not see writers taking a stand. I'm very ashamed of that we have not been able to stand. I think now the time has come, I think, when we have to take up a stand. And we don't take a stand just for the media to quote us. We take up a stand every day, every minute, every hour. That is the only way. You know, we don't all have to go on the streets. We don't have to protest, but we have to take a stand every minute of our lives in whatever we write, whatever we say.
Those are very powerful words, ma'am, and really words which should echo across this country. Writers, Shashi Deshpande saying, have become powerless and people need to take a stand. Gopal Hosur, what about the police? I have seen the Maharashtra police fail completely in the Pansare killing and in the Dabolkar killing. Last year, 2 years have gone. We still haven't found the killers in the Dabolkar case. 1 year has gone in the Pansare killing. We haven't found the killer. Will Kalburgi go the same way? Is the Karnataka government now embarrassed, as a result of which they have to send the case to the CBI, sir?
Rajdeep, first and foremost, I am speaking to you with a very heavy heart. And I am saddened by the terrible incident that has taken place, because Kalburgi was known to me personally, and I also came from the same belt where this incident has taken place. It is just 36 hours now from the time this incident has taken place, and unlike the Dabolkar case and Pansare's case, this has taken place inside the house. And there are hardly any witnesses to this incident, except that somebody has spotted two motorcycle-borne people and one entering the house and shooting him at point-blank range. I think the police, it is a little too premature to conclude the motive for the murder as well as to identify the culprits.
But Mr. Hosur, in 36 hours, the Karnataka police has asked the CBI to come into the case. Obviously, the Karnataka police is either incompetent, some would say, or is worried about the political fallout. What am I to understand if a state police in 36 hours in a case like this says, please ask the CBI to take it over? What does this mean? That the Karnataka police is not capable of finding the killers of Kalburgi?
Karnataka police are definitely capable, and what you said in the latter part about the political decision, I think probably that sounds more true to me to wash off their hands. In fact, the Karnataka police are very competent. They can do a very good investigation, and I'm sure they'd be, as far as I know, they have constituted a very strong team till the CBI takes it over. I think the Karnataka police should have gone ahead with this case. Probably the state has some inputs that it could be an interstate activity, because looking at the Pansare's case, Dabolkar case, the type of weapon
others
used,
are saying it involves powerful Lingayat groups, and maybe your Karnataka government doesn't want to take those groups on. Is that a worry that you have?
That could be one of the dimensions to the decision, but I am sure this also has probably an interstate ramification, looking at the way in which this crime has been committed, and similar crime has been committed against two other people in the neighboring state.
Okay, Mr. Hosur, you believe there could be an interstate dimension. We will keep tracking this story. As I said, I believe, or I think most of us should believe, that the case and the murder of Mr. Kalburgi should be treated with the same importance that we are giving the Sheena murder mystery. Both at the end of the day need to make it to prime time for very different reasons, dare I say.